Hi beauties, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm just going to be doing a pretty easy video. I'm just going to be sitting down and doing a full face of makeup using my go-to beauty products right now. So basically just a rundown of all my favorite products right now and what I use when I'm doing just a full face on a daily basis. So without further ado, do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are not already. Go ahead and like this video if you enjoy it and click the notification bell so that you get notified when I upload a brand new video, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first things first, I have already moisturized, so that is already done. I just used my Fossia, I think is the name, I still can't pronounce that, the like $100 moisturizer that I have, and then I used my Juno & Co. Like the Miracle Cream as kind of like it's like a moisturizer primer type thing, I think, is what it like claims to be, but I usually just use it as a second moisturizer and like a base for my primers. So first I'm going to go in with my Tatcha Silk Canvas. It's the mini one, and I'm just going to do that where my pores are the largest, so basically like my T-zone right here by my nose, and then on my forehead, chin, and upper lip. And you're not really supposed to tug at your face like I'm doing because you don't want to age yourself faster, but I just tug like a little bit at my skin just to make sure it's like really in my pores. I have really large pores right here and then on my nose, so I try to just make sure it's in there like deep so that I have like a nice even base to work off of. So next I am going in with my Milk Hydro Grip, and I just use like a little bit of this on my fingertips, and I put it basically everywhere that I didn't put the Tatcha, so like the perimeters of my face, and then I'll take the excess and kind of just pat it on top of the middle of my face. And I like this because it's really tacky, so the foundation really sticks to your face better and lasts like all day. Okay, next I am going to go in with foundation. So my favorite foundation right now is the L'Oreal Infallible. This is like one of the most highly rated drugstore foundations. I haven't been able to find a high-end foundation that does what this does for me, which is so surprising to me. But all of the high-end foundations that I've tried or that I have had in the past have either broken me out because I have really sensitive skin, or they accentuate like my pores, or I just can't find the right shade in them, or it makes me greasy throughout the day really fast. This one is like has been my saving grace. It doesn't break me out. It actually does have good like ingredients in it, so I do like to focus a little bit on skincare in my face products because I do have sensitive skin and very acne prone skin. So this works really well for me. I am in the shade 470, so I'm just gonna go ahead and buff that into my face with a Morphe sponge. Okay, the foundation is on. Now for concealer. So for concealer, I have a few favorites, and there's not necessarily a specific one that I use on a daily basis except for my cream concealer. So for my cream concealer, every day I use the L'Oreal Infallible. It's from the same line as the foundation. I have two of them that I use. One of them I use for contour, a cream contour, and then the other one I use as a base for my liquid concealer. So I'll do a cream concealer and then a liquid concealer on top, and it just gives that added coverage, and I like it that way for some reason. And then for liquid concealers, I like the Morphe one and the e.l.f. Camo Concealer for a drugstore one, and then the Jeffree Star one. So I use either one of those. The Jeffree Star one I've been not using as much because I'm running out and I need to reorder, but they obviously aren't shipping out right now, so even if I did order it, it still wouldn't come in until after this whole shutdown and everything is over and they can open back up. So for right now I am going to go in with my cream one first, and I have this one in the shade 401 Ivory. And then on top of that one, I'm going to go in with a little bit of the Jeffree Star one. I have that in the shade C10, and I'm going to use this, my dog, Ellie. I'm going to use this in the middle of my face. And then under the eyes, I'm going to go in with my Morphe one, which I have in the shade C1 35. Okay, once that is blended out, I do go in with a little bit of my contouring one, which is in the shade 410. And I just do a little bit around the sides of my face, under my nose, on my forehead, on my jawline. I do a little under my mouth. Now I just go right here and that helps kind of start my contour. Okay, now that that is on there, I do kind of just take my, so I use 2 beauty blenders, one for my contour, and then the other one just has the excess like foundation and concealer on it, and I'll just kind of go over everything with this one to make sure there's no harsh lines and everything's blended before I go ahead and set it. Sorry if I'm looking in the monitor most of the time, I'm just trying to make sure that it looks good on camera. Okay, so once that's blended out, I'm going to go in with a powder. So I have a couple different powders that I like. So I like the Jeffree Star one, obviously, but just like the concealer, I am running out of the powder. So I'm trying to use it sparingly, and I need to order some more. I have this one in the shade beige, but I think I'm probably going to get a different shade when I reorder. I'll probably go with something lighter, just because this has a little bit of like a yellowish undertone in it, and usually I wouldn't mind that, but I have recently been kind of liking the translucent under my eyes rather than something with a yellow undertone in it like I used to do. So I do have that one, and I took it apart. If you can see, I just took the whole top off because none of the powder would come out anymore of the sifter, so I took it apart so I could get like the last bit of the powder. And then the other powder that I like is the Laura Mercier powder, the translucent powder, and then the Everyday Vacay by Ciate London. It's the coconut setting powder. So usually on a daily basis, what I do is I mix those, the Laura Mercier and the Ciate. I just mix them together, and I use that to kind of set under my eyes and my face, just because the mixture of them is like really, really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my under eyes with a little bit of the Jeffree Star one for today, and then I'll set the rest of my face with my Laura Mercier and Ciate mixture. Okay, once that is all set, I do hit my face with some setting spray and then buff it out with my sponge so that my face isn't so dry from all the powder. And I just use the Morphe and Jeffree Star setting spray. Then I'll go over it with my sponge and kind of pat it into my skin so that it brings a little bit of like that natural shine back to the face and you don't look so dry from all the powder. Okay, now I'm going to move on to brows. So for brows, my basically daily basis one is the Precisely My Brow Pencil, but I just recently, in my last video, I used the NYX Micro Brow Pencil for the first time trying it, and I really liked it. So I think between either one of these, that would be like my go-to right now. For today, I'm just going to use the Benefit one. The only thing I don't like about it is I have the mini, and it doesn't have a spoolie on the end, since it's a mini. I don't know really why they do that, but I don't like the fact that I have to kind of use like 2 products when I'm doing like using this one. So sometimes I will reach for another one just for time's sake, but besides that, it works really well. I only have the mini because like brow pencils you don't go through super quick, or I personally don't, because I don't use a lot of the products, so I didn't really think that there would be a difference between me getting the mini and like a full-size one in the grand scheme of it. Okay, once the brows are on, I do just go over them with a gel most of the time. I don't really have like a favorite brow gel. I just use whatever I grab first. The Morphe one is pretty good though. If I had to choose a favorite out of all of the ones I've used, I'd probably say the Morphe one, just because it holds my brows in place the longest. Right now I'm just using a NYX one though. I used it in my last video. But anything works. I am going to go ahead and bronze. So for bronzer, I have been just obsessed with the Morphe ones. So I have the shade Mastermind and then Icon. So usually what I do is I use Mastermind kind of all over. This one's like the lightest shade. It is really light for me, but I like it that way. I will usually use this all over, and then I'll use this one, Icon, which I think is like the next one after Mastermind if I'm not mistaken, and I use this to kind of chisel like deeper, so just kind of like the inside of my contour most of the time. So I usually just take like a big fluffy bronzing brush. It's a complexion brush by Alamar, and I'll just kind of dig into this, and it's not like super pigmented off the bat, so you can kind of build it, which is how I like my bronzers anyways. So it's really buildable and it looks beautiful on the skin. So I just kind of swirl my brush in and start at the top of my head and then go around the perimeters and all of that jazz. One thing that I do like about cream contouring is that when you cream contour, it lays like a base down for your bronzer, so you don't have to use as much product when you're bronzing because you already have that base down. So you already have like basically bronze skin. You're just kind of going over it with the powder bronzer. But that's another reason why I like to cream contour before. So now I go in with a Juno & Co brush. It's the ES15 one, and I just take that darker shade. I just take that darker shade. I use this and I just chisel out the cheek a little bit more, and then I use the lighter shade and just contour my nose out. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of powder on the tip of my sponge and just chisel out my nose contour. Okay, so usually I just let that sit for a little bit. I don't want to like dry out my nose most of the time, so I just leave it sit for like a couple minutes. I did do a little bit on the side of my face as well. I usually do not do too much on the side of my face. Like as you can see, I did a really light layer of it just because the sides of my face are super dry, like right down here. So I don't like to leave powder on very long because then it just dries out my skin and it looks horrible. So, and I don't bake under my eyes either because my eyes are dry and I don't want to get like crepey and nasty. So while I just let this sit on, I'll just go over my blushes that I like. So basically on an everyday basis, I will either go in with my Hourglass one, or I just use my Catrice blush box, just because I like the shade of it. It's really like mauve-y and pretty. So I use either one of those. I just recently picked up this Milani one and I haven't tried it, so I think I am going to try it today just to see how I like it. And then it is really light, so I want to see how much it actually picks up on my skin. Oh, it's pretty. I've heard that these Milani blushes are really nice, so I wanted to try one. I do really like this, so I'll probably use it some more. For blushes, I'm not really picky. Okay, once I have bronzed and put on blush, I do go ahead and sometimes I highlight or sometimes I just jump into my eyeshadow and then I highlight later. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and highlight. So for highlight, I like using my Becca highlight. It is in the shade Vanilla Quartz. And then I also will sometimes just dip into the Manny MUA Morphe palette and I use the highlights in there. I just mix them. So it doesn't really matter to me. Both of them are really good, so it's just whatever I'm feeling like that day. This one, it looks like this. It looks like just white, but it does have a little bit of like a pinky, I don't think it picks up on camera, but it's got like a pinky sheen to it. So I'm just gonna use both of them. So I'm gonna go in with the Becca one first. I'm just using a Luxie fan brush. And I do like more subtle highlights. There's certain times where I'll like a really beaming highlight, but for the most part, for like a regular, just everyday look, I do like to kind of keep it subtle. So on top of that, I'm gonna go in with, I just mix the both of the ones in the Manny MUA palette, and I'll just go on top. And that just adds a little bit more. Okay, now for eyeshadow. Recently, I have been really into this Picante palette by Carity. I got it in my BoxyCharm a couple months ago. And as you can see, I have been using and abusing her. I just really like the colors in it and the formula is really good, everything like that. So I've been enjoying it. And I've been really liking like a reddish, pinkish kind of smoky eye lately for some reason. So I am just going to go in with this bittersweet shade right here. And for palettes, it's kind of hard to pick like ones that are like your favorite, like everyday ones. Just because there's so many palettes on the market. So like I use this one practically every time I do my makeup, but the Morphe Mani MUA one is really, really good, and pretty much any Morphe palette is good. Okay, next I'm going to go in with this shade right here. It's called Harvest, and then I'm going to be mixing it with this one right here, which is called Bobby. Okay, once I have that all blended out, I do go ahead and go in with a shimmer. So I usually use, sometimes I'll use this one, which is called Fuego, and it's like a pinky, like bronzy shade, or I go in with Fearless, which is like a champagne shade. You know what? Actually, I think I'm going to go in with this because I've kind of, so this is by JCat Beauty. It's a highlighter. It's a baked highlighter. I used to use this all of the time as highlighter, but then when I actually got good at makeup and realized that it's not my shade and I should not be using this as highlighter on my face because it's way too dark for my complexion, I wised up and I stopped using it as highlighter and just use it on the eyes. So because it's really, really pretty, this is what it looks like. It's really pretty, really pigmented, so it works really well on the eyes. So I'm just going to take a flat brush and put some on there. I'm going to go ahead and wet the brush just so it sticks better. I don't want any fallout. Okay, so I went ahead and put that on my eyes. I didn't do a cut crease or anything, but I kind of just like used the shape of the brush and like chiseled out the crease so that it's like a kind of like fake cut crease. So now that that's on, I really, really like the way that looks. So now I'm just going to take something on the inner corner. I'm just going to take the Fearless shade that's in the Picante palette. And I'm going to highlight the inner corner and brow bone with that. Okay, now that we are done with eyeshadow, I usually go ahead and just jump in with like any black eyeliner. I use the Raven eyeliner by Elizabeth Mott, and I just tightline. I always tightline, especially if I know I'm gonna wear falsies, because then it just blends all of the lashes in together and you can't see the fake lash separated from your real lashes. And then I just go ahead and line with my Hank & Henry liquid eyeliner. So sometimes I do a wing. I don't always do a wing. Most of the time, honestly, I don't do a wing just because it's easiest, and I have yet to master getting even wings on both sides. Okay, next, on pretty much a daily basis, well, not a daily basis, just every time I do my makeup, I line my waterline with the Morphe Coconut Liner, which is a white liner. I always do this. The only time I will not line my waterline with white liner is if I'm doing like a really smoky look, and then I'll just line it with like a brown or black liner. But for majority of the time, you'll always see me with white liner in my waterline, just because I have very small eyes, so it opens up my eyes and I like the way it looks better. And I think it does emphasize the eyeshadow look a little bit more as well. Okay, next I'm just gonna curl my lashes. Okay, once I curl my lashes, I go ahead and do mascara. So for mascara, I usually use the Better Than Sex mascara by Too Faced or the Tarte Big Ego mascara. Those are like my two favorites, but I ran out of both of them, so I need to reorder. So right now I am using the Lash Sensational by Maybelline. Okay, next I am going to go ahead and do a lip. So for my everyday lip, I always line with my Sweet Tea Morphe liner. Most of the time I'll line with this. Sometimes I'll use Love Bite by Morphe, which has a little bit of a more pink undertone, where this one is more of like a brown undertone. And then I will go over top with my Maybelline Nude Embrace lipstick. And I usually don't wear a gloss. So usually if I do wear a gloss, I will go over the lip with one of my Jeffree Star glosses or my iconic London gloss. But most of the time I don't wear a gloss. I don't really prefer glosses. I like a matte lip, but I'm gonna go ahead and line. Okay, so I wanted to mention also that, so I have a lot of the Jeffree Star like minis of the lipsticks, and one of the minis I have is the Unicorn Blood. I think it was last week I used this lip when I was filming the last video, and I was obsessed with it. I haven't worn a red lip since like my sophomore year of high school, but I really like Unicorn Blood. I think it's a really pretty shade. It works best with my complexion, just because I like darker reds a little bit better. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on my Maybelline lip. Okay, and usually I would put on a lash, but I don't think I'm gonna put one on just because my lashes look really pretty good today with this mascara, and I don't feel like putting on a lash, honestly. So usually for a lash I would put on my Secretive Lash by Morphe, but they discontinued it for some reason. I really don't know why. It's really bothering me though, because that's like my favorite lash and it's so pretty. Pretty sure they discontinued it because I can't find it on the website for me to reorder. So I was gonna, because they discontinued it, I wasn't gonna use it because why would I use a lash that you guys like couldn't go get? So instead I was gonna go and I ordered a bunch of Tati lashes off of their website last week. And I got like a bunch of different styles, and I was gonna use a pair of them, but I think I'm gonna go without a lash today, and then I will use one of these in like the next video, just to see how I like them. I have used Tati lashes before, but the lash I use from them is the under lashes. I've never used like any top lashes from them, so I'm interested to see what the top lashes are like, because I do like the under lashes by Mitchell. So just before we finish off this look, I'm going to give the face one last spritz to lock it all in place. So that is a full video using my go-to products right now. Okay, that is it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please give it a like for me and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are not already. I would love to have you. And do not forget to click the post notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload a brand new video. And comment and tell me what you guys want to see me film throughout the next few weeks. I would love to get your input and see what you guys want to see from me. Do not forget to follow me on my socials. My Instagram and Twitter are just at HannahB_Beauty with 2 Y's. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, beauties.